Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Zone on this Thursday evening. As you can see, we have some guests with me. We got Ninja Knight and Problem Being, and we do have some stuff to discuss. Yesterday, Ninja Knight was on the channel, but he had some news. But because we had the breaking Doctor Who news, we didn't get a chance to cover all of the stuff that he wanted to cover. So we're going to do that, and then after we're finished with Ninja Knight's news, then we're going to go over the Doctor Who stuff again, and then we will call it a night. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining me. Nice to see you here. Obviously,
thanks for having us on.
They were on Rabbi's channel before this, so do us a favor, check that stream out later on. Like, share, and subscribe to every single person that's on the panel, because they're good YouTubers, and you know, they give guys like you a chance to air our opinions, just like we do here on this channel. Right, Ninja Knight, we will start off with your news. So I'll put up what you have here, because we do have a lot to discuss, so we'll just get straight into it. I'm not going to have any drama tonight. I've said what I've had to say, but I'll just say this on the Doctor Who rumours. As you know, I've put out stuff in the last couple of weeks now. I've received a bit of a backlash. And all I just want to say to those people is it's all rumour and speculation. You all need to take a chill pill. And that's all I'm going to say on it now, because I said everything I needed to say on Rabbi's channel. And, you know, I got a bit upset about it because, you know, we've got bigger YouTubers now attacking me. They're punching down because they're bullies. And, you know, it's just ridiculous. I'm being
bullies and cowards.
Yeah. Just cowards. But we're not going to go into that because we do have this news. So I'm just going to throw this up. Ninja Knight already has an article ready to go. So we'll throw it up and see what he's... Oh, it's a tweet. Right.
Yeah.
So you explain to us what the story is with this and why you wanted to bring this up.
So the background to anybody that doesn't know about this is that Johnny Depp had a libel case against The Sun, who was a very well-known UK paper for various negative reasons, particularly for anybody that lives or is a fan of Liverpool or knows the story that went on there.
Yeah.
It's a newspaper that is entirely challenged within the UK in terms of its ability to have good journalism, I should say, and to be very, you know, have some sort of integrity. So this is a news outlet that decided to say that Johnny Depp was a woman beater, a wife beater, I think was the exact name. And due to the various different types of evidence that Johnny had between CCTV, sworn affidavits, and multiple types of evidence, the UK judge found the case to be non-existent and ruled against Johnny Depp. So Johnny Depp, for an awful lot of people that don't know, has allegedly lost the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise due to this. He has lost roles in other movies, and it seems that, well, I mean, it's been confirmed, he has lost his role as Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts series. So what I wanted to talk about was, this is a point in time where Amber Heard is actually asking, and it's going to segue nicely into what we're going to talk about as well too, that the second article that I have pulled up. But what I wanted to say was, this, in my opinion, Mads Mikkelsen in talks to join Fantastic Beasts 3 to replace Johnny Depp is, in my opinion, the celebrity version of a scab. So for anyone who doesn't know what that is a person that will go into a job where union members have gone on strike. in my opinion, I think anybody that took over this role from Johnny Depp should be absolutely, entirely ashamed of themselves, knowing exactly what Johnny Depp went through and knowing as well, too, the case that went on. I think it's wrong that anybody decided to accept this role. Now, there's been breaking news over the last 20 or 30 minutes that says that J.K. Rowling actually agreed with Warner Brothers' decision to make Johnny Depp resign from his job, and he ultimately gets an 8 to 10 million payoff for not really doing anything in the sword movie. Here's the thing, though. This sets a very bad precedent, and I mean, we constantly hear about male victims having to speak up and having to talk, but when they do speak up and talk about these things, we are now saying, oh, we'll just replace you and you're out here, and they will just get a new actor in, which I think is entirely wrong. So I do feel that Mads Mikkelsen has certainly let himself down. He certainly left an awful lot of fans down, and I think at this moment in time what should be happening is ultimate unity between these people to say, hang on, that was something wrong that happened to Johnny Depp. We are going to support him. Now, for a lot of people that don't know either, there is over 1 million signatures now asking for Amber Heard to be removed from Aquaman 2, which is a significant portion of people that are going to possibly buy the merchandise, possibly go to see the film, or even purchase it on HBO Max. So I just wanted to throw it over to the panel and see what they thought, because this is a big story in my opinion, and this is a moment in time where people really needed to support Johnny Depp, and they've really let him down.
Well, I'll just say, add on, the Sun newspaper, for anybody, just go into a little bit of detail. 96 Liverpool fans were crushed to death during a cup final back in the day. This newspaper accused the dead victims of causing this stampede and therefore causing their own deaths. There's been calls from those victims' families for years for an inquiry, and then eventually last year, it finally came to light that it wasn't it was actually the police and the people that were in charge of the stadium. They overcrowded the stadium. Now, this Sun newspaper does have a habit of coming out with these outrageous headlines. Now, after Johnny Depp had lost his case, they came out with a headline saying, well, we've been vindicated. Johnny Depp is a wife beater, blah, 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 blah. They're a scum paper, right? They cause so much hurt and so much offense that there's an actual boycott of this paper being going on in the UK.
Years now, yeah.
They're the biggest scum. Now, going to this fella here, I do agree with everything Ninja Knight is saying. This guy shouldn't be hopping into the role. He should have come out and said, no. And he should have defended Johnny Depp. We've seen the evidence, and the evidence points to her being the bully, but yet somehow this corrupt judge, and that's what he is, a corrupt judge, sided with a woman. This is the future, folks, right? Even when men are proven to be the victims, they're going to be found that guilty. It doesn't make a difference whether they're the victims or not. The courts don't. The courts won't, side with the man.
Yeah.
And even I should know, because I have a daughter, right? And I won't go into too much details, but me and the mother don't get on. And for years she's been stopping me from seeing my daughter. And the courts have always taken her side on it. It doesn't matter what I do, because I'm a bloke and I have a penis. We're second-class citizens when it comes to our own kids and stuff like this, abuse. Now, we all seen Johnny Depp's severed finger. He presented a lot of credible evidence, and it was all thrown out. So for this guy to then come in and take his role, it's disgusting as far as I'm concerned. Johnny Depp says he's going to appeal, and I hope he does, and he'll have us all supporting him. But the fact that this man has lost his livelihood, right, which he has, he's been sacked, as Ninja Knight has rightly said, from Pirates. Now he had to step down, or he was fired from this latest role. But yeah, Amber Heard still has her job.
There's also another rumor. There's another rumor going around. There's another rumor going around that the judge's son is apparently, according to the latest sort of rumors, is that the judge's son is related, or in some way, or is dating someone, I believe, with someone in Amber Heard's legal team.
Wow.
Wow.
And now that this information is coming to light, maybe the judge should have recused themselves from the case. Now, again, this is not substantiated that I can substantiate, but this is the latest story on this, that the judge's son is somehow related to or connected to rather someone within her legal team. So just putting that out there.
But Chris Persia is saying in the chat there that the judge does seem to be extremely much so compromised, and it doesn't shock me. And thank you, Chris, for bringing that forward, because this is information that needs to be talked about, and I feel that this is going to be swept under the carpet far too easily. And again, I think you would need a statement for some of the bigger actors here to be saying no. I mean, we've already had our own Colin Farrell said no to this, to reprising the role of Grindelwald. For those who don't remember, he was the original actor that played Grindelwald in the first movie, and there was some sort of polyjuice potion or some sort of magic involved to change his appearance from Colin Farrell then to Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp is rumored to be the original way he looks. I'm sure they will try to change this in the third movie. But what's curious to me is, how come Johnny Depp has now lost his job, but yet Ezra Miller is still in the same franchise, and he, on a video, attacked a lady.
A pregnant woman.
Exactly.
Yes. So how has that happened? You know?
We all seen that footage. He literally chokes a pregnant woman and throws her down onto the ground, and he still has his job. Listen, it's hypocritical. Johnny Depp is a legend, right? Yeah. And I said this the other day. I do feel that a lot of these young actresses, I do feel that a lot of these young actresses are going out with these older men to Me Too them. Now, I know that sounds like a weird conspiracy theory, but I do honestly believe that this is what's happening. And
it's open season now.
I'd be watching who you are going out with, because, look, I'm not saying Johnny Depp is innocent. Nobody here is saying that this relationship wasn't volatile. It more than likely it was, right? But she's the one that beat him up. We've even heard the audio. How much evidence do these people actually need? You know, and there's people defending these people that defend Amber Heard. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. She should lose. This is the way it goes. If you're going to sack Johnny Depp, right, for being violent, right? Fair enough. But she must be sacked as well, because we've heard the evidence. We've even seen the photograph that he showed of his severed finger. It had to be reattached, for God's sake. So why is she still in a job? And
not only is she in the job, she's now demanding her role be. She's now demanding her role be increased. She's now demanding that her role be increased to make it bigger in Aquaman 2.
Yeah. That's the funny thing. Now she's demanding, because all of a sudden now she's been found innocent, and she believes that she's the victim here. She ain't a victim, right? Johnny Depp is the victim, right? And just because he's a man doesn't make him any less of a victim than it would if it was a woman that was being beaten up. I'm sick of this whole rhetoric these past few years. Toxic males, toxic. But even when they prove it, they're still to blame. I'm sorry, but Johnny Depp, it doesn't matter what you think of him as an actor. I think he's a good actor, but over the years he has been doing the same second thing over and over. But I still love the man.
Domestic abuse of men is actually a lot higher than is reported, because a lot of men don't report on their wives. Because they also face a lot of social backlash if they are victims of this kind of abuse. They tend not to speak up about it, because not only do they face ridicule and mockery, usually by other men, but also because they will be accused of lying.
Exactly.
And then it backfires and they get prosecuted anyway.
It was brave what he did. Coming out and saying that he was abused is hard for a man, because we're men. We got this thing called pride. You know, we don't want to be embarrassed. You know, so for Johnny,
and often they want to protect their wives or girlfriends, because they don't want. They often do that to protect their wives and girlfriends as well, because they still love them. Because that's the nature of abusive relationships.
The fact that he's actually come out to expose his life to the world just goes to show you how much this has affected him. Because no man wants to air their dirty laundry out in public. We don't like doing that. But for him to do that, to me, is the bravest thing, and he should be applauded, because there are a lot of men out there that are abused just as much as women are. And a lot of these men don't come forward because, as Problem Being has said, the shame of it. And it is a shame thing because they do get shamed by other people and they do get laughed at by other people. And it's absolutely disgraceful. This woman here should not be even in Aquaman 2. She should be fired. It's absolutely disgraceful. And I guarantee she's gone around. I haven't seen her Twitter account, but I can imagine she's gloating. And
let's not forget the story of that Australian woman who used to abuse her husband so incredibly much. And one day she decided to kill him. And then the police arrested her when she was cooking him in a pot.
Wow.
All right. This stuff does go on.
Look at Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron has gone on about how, how much of an excitement and stuff like that about her own mother's past, and how she offed her father. You know what I mean? And it's actually sick, the glee that which she recounts those stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very peculiar. But I think, like, when you're looking at these type of things, it's become way too often. And I mean, like, Bill Burr has a very good bit about this in his comedy show, and about him being, I should say, probably, sexually assaulted, essentially. And he's like, men just aren't believed in these situations, and he's like, then you look petty, and then he's like, according to the public, and then when you are coming forward about this, most guys like laugh it off. But I think it's gotten to a point now where this stuff shouldn't be laughed off anymore. It should be taken very much so, credibly. And I also, if you're looking at a multi-millionaire like Johnny Depp losing in this case, what's that going to do to an average Joe? And like Tardis is saying there, even for his own personal life as well too, it's a thing that it's an unwinnable cause, and it's the odds are stacked in somebody else's favor before the ball is even kicked, and it's wrong.
There, Emma brings up a great point. Emma, fair play to you, man. I forgot about that, to be honest with you. But the person that's behind the newspaper, actually Rebecca Brooke there. So please remember, the Sun never reported it when Rebecca Brooke hit Ross Kemp years ago. It's double standards. Yeah. So Ross Kemp was actually going out with the woman that's running the paper, and he did get beat up by her. But the Sun, the paper that she works for, obviously swept that under the carpet. It is double standards. I mean, look, I'm not saying nobody is saying that Johnny Depp is entirely innocent in all of this. It does look like it was a volatile relationship. But the thing about it is that she presented no real evidence. She showed photographs of him lying down beside his bed drunk, right?
Yeah.
Showed a bit of drug paraphernalia. But what did he show? He showed us the pictures of his finger. He let us hear the audio where she's basically bullying him through the whole lot. It's disgusting. The hairs were standing up in the back of my neck listening to the way this woman was speaking to him. And you can hear him. He's basically begging her to stop. He's trying to calm her down, and she's having none of it. This is the same woman that beat up an ex-girlfriend, by the way.
Two allegedly.
Two of them. And then she tried to get Elon Musk involved then, because after this whole, she ran off to Elon Musk. Oh, look, Johnny Depp bet me up, right? And then the bruises that you see on her eye, even people are coming out and saying a makeup artist put all that crap on her. She didn't even look like a real bruise. Even people were saying that when they seen her, when this alleged incident happened, she had no bruising on her. She fooled everybody. And if it is true about the judge and the Sun, well then, this case needs to be, and I'm glad he's appealing it. And well done, Johnny. Keep do it, because what you're doing is you're giving men out there a voice that have been through this. So
hashtag
please
believe all Johnny Depps.
There's more Johnny Depps out there. So what he is doing is absolutely brave and wonderful. Keep doing it, mate. And we have your back. We're not going, no way. I don't care. Listen, he is a hellraiser. He always has been. But you can't, no. Even his own ex-wife came out and said he never touched her, and they divorced. She'd have plenty. Trust me. If she
look at the way the media,
more opportunity to get the final nail in the coffin and finish him. But she's even come out and said, no, he's not a violent person. Yes, he does have a drinking problem and a drug problem, but he's not a violent person. And you could even hear Jordan, the audio with Amber Heard. He was actually very calm. So I just, look, it's double standards, but I'm glad he is. I'm glad he is continuing to appeal this. He should. And Amber Heard should be sacked from Aquaman. I don't really, David, I know who you're talking about, but do me a favor, mate. Just don't mention him in this channel. It's clear that he's trying to start it up again, but I'm not going to give him the satisfaction. It's, you know, for me personally, a lot of these attacks that are coming from all of these YouTubers seems to be down to jealousy. So let's leave him out of this chat. I don't want anybody talking about him because you're giving him airtime. So let's just leave it. But thank you. It's at least some people are starting to see the light when it comes to him, and that's all I'll say on that. Right.
What's interesting
here tonight.
Yeah, what's interesting as well too is for anybody that doesn't know, there's another good parallel to this whole situation, and that parallel is, and when I say good parallel, it's, you know, it didn't end quite well, but look at how the media speak about Caroline Flack. Now, Caroline Flack was an individual that was a TV presenter, and she was extremely abusive to her other halves or in her relationship, so much so that there was some horrific stuff that came out. And you will still see people to this day that would say it would have been Caroline's 44th birthday. She was basically, the media told the truth of what went on there, and she couldn't hack the pressure of it, and she self-deleted. Now, I mean, I will say that I feel very sorry.
They did go after it. See, this is the thing. Yes, it's great. It's all well and good when you expose these people, but the way they did hound her then for the months and months leading up to her suicide, I thought was bang out of order. Yes, she was guilty of all those things, and she was charged. She should have been left alone, though. That was the thing. Even her ex-boyfriend, the one that accused her of it, was saying they should have just left her alone. She paid the price already. She'd lost her presenting jobs and all of this, but they hounded her to death. And I'm sorry.
But see, here's the thing, like, how many males have gone through being hounded for years? I mean, you look at what Chris Brown did. Now, I am absolutely not condone on what Chris Brown did whatsoever, but they will constantly bring their out still to this year, to this day. They will constantly say what he did to Rihanna. Now, again, like I'm saying, I do not condone whatsoever what he did, but I mean, there's an individual that did equally horrendous things, and he's still, you know, going about his business. Is that right? Is that wrong? Well, I mean, that's up to you whether you want to support him or not, knowing what you do now. But the Caroline Flack thing, like, and particularly with the people who are supporting her still now to this day, it bemuses me. Obviously, I will say, you know, I do understand people supporting someone who has passed on and who has self-deleted. Absolutely, unequivocally understand that. But, you know, when you're looking at it in the media tends to give her a glowing perception now where, you know, if that was a man in the same position, they wouldn't be. They would go down in history as being that wife beater forever, and that would be just it. There would be no sort of, you know, sadness or remorse felt about it whatsoever. And it is a double standard, and I think it needs to be really, really checked, you know.
Well, and that's another thing is like, listen, it's very easy for everything to be resolved in the minds of the audience, who generally, I mean, we all understand that the court of public opinion, but I think even though the court of public opinion, when it works in the favor of a woman, can be very damning, when it works against the man, but when it's the other way around, it has no effect. Well, show that it does have an effect, but best way of doing that is to support Johnny Depp's projects in the future. Yeah, always sort of find whatever he's doing, go in, support it. Anything that she does, you don't have to give her a bloody penny. Just remember that.
And at the moment, it seems like that Robert Downey Jr. and Guy Ritchie have extended an olive branch for him to be in Sherlock Holmes 3. I fully support that, and I would support that movie now 100%, because, and again, like, I have to say, when I look at Robert Downey Jr., is a guy that has been through the mill in terms of what he went through in his life. He was the person as well too that was picked up by Mel Gibson after Mel Gibson had, before Mel Gibson had very trying times. And what Robert Downey Jr. did then in response to that was he knew that Mel picked him up. He gave him work. He gave him a place to stay. He fed him as well too, which an awful lot of people don't know about. And then Robert Downey Jr. repaid that favor when Mel made the horrendous comments and obviously the very bad things that came out about him at the time. Robert Downey Jr. was the first man on the stage to say, "Hey, come on, I'll support you. We can get through this." And again, if people don't want to support Mel Gibson, that's absolutely fine. If they do, again, that's absolutely fine as well too. But ultimately, what's happened as well too is you're seeing this. I've got grown so much respect for Robert Downey Jr. and Guy Ritchie for extending that olive branch to Johnny Depp, because I think in this moment in time, like, you're seeing Pirates of the Caribbean, they're talking about Margot Robbie taking over as the lead character from Jack Sparrow. It's impossible to move on from Jack Sparrow. It wouldn't be the same whatsoever. And what I think is very, very wrong is you see Amber Heard here now is demanding a bigger role in Aquaman 2. This is incredible stuff.
Can I just say something there? Listen, we don't tolerate any abuse in the chat, and I certainly don't tolerate comments like Amber Heard needs a good punching. So if one of the moderators could remove that comment. Listen,
I've done it already.
Yeah, we listen. Amber Heard does not deserve a punch. She deserves to be locked up.
She deserves help.
Okay. So
for anger issues.
Violence doesn't solve the issue or the problem. She should be locked up. But listen, don't be saying things like that, please, because it reflects badly on us in the chat and on here. So if it happens again, please remove any person that condones violence, please. I'm not gonna...
I deleted that message, and I also put them on the timeline just before you said anything.
Yeah. So you don't have to remove them. Just once they don't do it again.
No, that's a warning. That was a warning
against women, men, or anybody like that. Okay.
I think problem being said at best, which is vote with your wallets, because then companies will soon get the message. And again, with this petition that has come out to remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2, it's over 1 million signatures right now. That's a big statement. I mean, the whole getting into, violent situation.
Well, that's 1 million people not going to watch your movie, basically.
Exactly. And that means that you have an awful lot of people on your side. And, I think that's why she's doubling and tripling down now by saying, I want a bigger role in Aquaman 2. She's certainly putting it on the company. And what we've seen from the company in recent times is very, very odd, because they've signed people that are top tier in BLM who have caused absolute anarchy and chaos across in the United States. And they've decided to give them contracts. They have made absolutely no comment on the Ezra Miller situation and seem to be proceeding with The Flash. They're pretending like that didn't happen whatsoever, and that was actually on video.
Yeah, he's part of the Right Think crowd. He's part of the people who are the, inverted commas, protected group, which I personally find uber offensive, because I don't want to be part of a protected group. I think that anyone who behaves in that way should, accept what they've done, and that's it. But this kind of special treatment is not on. It flies. I mean, this only leads to more division. Actually,
but don't forget, she's part of this special group as well too, by virtue of saying that she was interested in that sort of stuff not too long ago. And I said to you before as well too, I think that's why you're saying Kit Harington and also Jodie.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I find really deeply problematic. To borrow one of their terms, it's people now can suddenly just claim to be LGBT for a shield to criticism, as I've always said, and that anybody can don this armor and go, oh yeah, I'm non-binary, I'm this, I'm that, and without any life, without any experience or suffering any of the hardships that people like myself have gone through, and actually living that experience, and then for these people to just adopt it as a new skin, and then can do whatever wrong they want. And get away with it, because by the dint of them claiming to be LGBT when they're not necessarily, and I find that really worrying, because not only do they then have the ability to don that as a protective skin, but they're doing it so they can do whatever nefarious thing they like and get away with it, and that reflects badly on people like me, and it's going to cause more division. People are going to get more frustrated that they see this going on, and then they're just going to assume that everyone who is part of the Rainbow Reich can do this kind of stuff. And I find it in real bad taste. I think it's I think it's incumbent upon people like myself and people within LGBT to actually stand up and say, well, wait a minute, you know, who the fuck are you? You know, you're wearing our experience like it's yours, and you've not earned it, you've not lived it, and you've got no evidence to prove it. I mean, I'm not saying she doesn't in her case. I mean, but you know, God, a lot of women generally have bisexual experiences anyway, because you know, generally women are more attuned to that kind of thing. But it just seems to me very cynical. Again, I think we live in an age where I think the term was post-truth age. I think that is very apt, actually. And I just find it very worrying that people can just do this without earning. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a slight to myself and people like me, but it's also very divisive, and how they can use it to get away with things like this. I just find that it's a bad optic all round. You know, it's a shit show. Yeah.
It's a total shield, and here's the thing, like I've suggested it on my own channel, which is what they should do for Aquaman 2. I mean, if they had clever writers at the helm, which they don't in an awful lot of these companies, and we'll get to see that next in the next little thing that I've picked up, unless Noel wants to change kind of conversation. But what we see is, if you were an intelligent writer, which what I would do, is you start Aquaman 2 with a body double playing Mera. You see her from behind, she's lying dead on the ground. You have Aquaman walk in and find her. We see that it's a bit of a time jump. He has a son at this stage, which he has had in the comics. But instead of the son being killed by Black Manta, we see Aquaman walk into this room, finding Mera dead and Black Manta standing above her. Black Manta then runs, and we see then a natural progression from the Force movies arc, which is a father and son story and the lost mother. And we see this similar sort of bond develop between Aquaman and his son in the second movie. If they were clever, that is something that they would do, and it rids them of this actress, it rids them of the character very quickly, and then you can start a new journey with these characters, and then you can then pass the baton on them, possibly then to Aquaman's son later on down the line, if you wanted to continue, because Jason Momoa is in his 40s, and he's not going to be able to do that role forever. So that to me would be what they should do. Are they going to do it? Probably not. They're probably going to go full steam ahead.
Mera? I mean, I'm not a reader of comic books in this day and age, but certainly not of Aquaman. But I mean, how big is Mera in the comics?
Quite large, and at the moment with the new DC slate.
But how old is the character?
How old is the character? I'm not sure.
I mean, how long has he been in the comic books?
I can't recall. I can't recall how long she is. If anybody on the chat knows how long Mera has been in the comics, that would be absolutely fantastic, because I'm having a brain fart at the moment. I presume she's been there since the 1960s, because that's kind of when it started off. So hang on, I'm just looking at it now. Aquaman 11, she first appeared in 1963 in September. So she's quite a long.
Well, I mean, if they can recast Johnny Depp's character in Fantastic Beasts 3, why can't they just recast her?
Because you'll have all of her supporters, kicking up stink, and they don't want any controversy.
Yeah, but I bet the numbers don't add up.
Since she's not guilty, and you're sacking her for no reason. That's the way it's done. So
well, I bet the numbers don't stack up the same as Johnny Depp.
Supported her and backed her up, and now this is the shitstorm they're in. My advice is don't support Aquaman 2. I'm actually pissed because I loved Aquaman, to be honest. It's not the greatest movie, but it was good enough for me to get a sequel anyway.
She was the weakest part of the first movie, to be fair, anyway.
I'm not supporting Wonder Woman 1984 either.
I'll be fair. I thought she was all right. I think she was quite good, but that still doesn't mean that I should go out and support her financially.
She's a bully, and she's been proven to be a bully, but yet the court sided with her because she has a vagina. It's a simple.
It's incredible stuff, and to me, like with the companies at the moment, I mean, they don't see the optics of this whole thing. That people, Johnny Depp is a beloved individual, and this is a person that's pretty much a nobody at the moment. I mean, she's the least memorable thing from that first Aquaman movie. I know a lot of men out there, similarly to myself, were quite enamored by how she looked in that movie, but to me, it's a character that you could easily replace with a brand new one. In my opinion, I think a lot of these companies are afraid to do that with characters rather than actually use new characters. They try to use established ones. I'm not a big fan of recasts either. I will say that. I think it's very distracting in a movie. Like I find The Dark Knight extremely distracting because it's not Katie Holmes anymore. It's actually Maggie Gyllenhaal. I find that very distracting when you watch it from Batman Begins. I'm one of those weird individuals that does bother. But to me, like, it's not a role that should be recast because, again, I would still feel the same way if someone else stood into her role. I'd still feel the same way of like, well, you shouldn't really be doing that. My option would be remove the character altogether from the second movie, have the son being born. The son is there, the child is there, and then you get to move on then through a movie, and then you get to move nearly at warp speed without a romantic element of it needed. You couldn't always introduce one, but I mean, you look at Winter Soldier and how good that was. It hadn't really any romance in it, so that would be something I think you'd go with. But yeah, for me, I think it's a character that needs to be removed now at this stage, and I think they saved themselves a big headache. But like I said, you know, they've Warner Brothers is the same company. They've asked Johnny Depp to leave over a libel case that he rightly put forward, and yet these two people that have been proven, in my opinion, and alleged in court to have been involved in abuse between Amber Heard and also then between Ezra Miller with the video that came out from him, and the company has said nothing about those two. It's wrong.
Yeah, well, I think it's quite damning of these media companies that they acquiesce to this kind of thing and support these people because they share the same ideological beliefs. At least on the surface, they do. And I think it's incumbent. I really think that a lot of these media companies at this point need to be broken up because they are far too controlling. They're far too powerful. Their influence is far too great. I think they are monopolizing not just the industry necessarily, but the culture. And I really don't think it speaks to a great number of people. I think that's why people like these companies are in such trouble because they are so divorced from reality and divorced from their going audience, who've quite rightly and quite openly rejected so much of this. And I can't see them lasting if they're going to keep tripling down on absolutely every choice that they make, which is clearly in defiance of the will of the audience going public. I think you're at risk, really, of being exposed and, caught on a wave, so to speak, which is going to lead you to the rocks rather than to salvation. I think you're right. I think that this can't really be sort of tolerated in the levels that it's at, and certainly in such a very partisan manner. It's so bleeding obvious. That I think they can't really salvage anything from this unless they start listening to people. Listen, we've seen what happens when movies and productions listen to the audiences, and they turn what would probably have been an average movie or one where they would have lost an audience to something where they made a big movie, like, for example, as we always go back to, Sonic the Hedgehog. I just find it really strange that these people support all this virtue signaling and all this SJW nonsense. But when it comes down to real acts of violence and things like that, they stay quiet when it comes from their own side. And it's something we see time and time again, especially on Twitter. They stay silent. I mean, we've seen what happened to Gina Carano. We've seen what happened to Gal Gadot. All these people showed their true colors. All these people who've got all these virtue signaling things on their profiles, and yet they come out and say the most vile stuff you can imagine. And
yes, absolutely.
I bet none of their accounts got suspended for saying what they said to Gal Gadot or Gina Carano.
Yes.
Yeah, I defended a 90-year-old man from concerted attack for 2 weeks or whatever it was. People saying the most dumb, stupid, vile stuff. And all I posted was evidence of how the word cis was used as a slur word against other gay men. by these activists.
Listen,
and because I did that, I got suspended purely for showing on Twitter what people had openly said on Twitter to gay men, which was homophobic and disgusting. And it was like, well, it's used as a slur against straight people. It's used as a slur against gay people. And I got suspended for that.
By the way, I want to say to Marty, I am aware that a certain YouTuber out there is piping up again. I don't want to know, to be quite honest, but thanks for, I do know I've been made aware of it. They're obviously looking for attention and they're not going to
give it to them.
So forget about it. Don't even let me know what they're saying. I don't care, to be quite honest with you. If they want to store crap up again, let them. They're screaming into an echo chamber as far as I'm concerned. And as far as I'm concerned, they've lost all validation anyway. So listen, don't want to know, but thanks. People have made me aware, but let's forget about it. You know, we got better things to be doing, like what we're doing now, than getting involved in some idiot's game.
It's petty and stupid. Forget it.
I mean, if they want to continue to carry on like that, let them. I mean, they broke that promise anyway. How long did that last?
I knew he would. I knew. Listen,
haven't broken.
He accused us of trying to sink his channel, and then he came out in a video and said, "Oh, it was YouTube messing with his subscription."
Yeah, and then he admitted that film did be good.
Did we get an apology? No. We got called evil. We got called all the names under the sun, and it was a concerted attack for week after week. He made an entente. He broke that. Let him. He's lost all credibility. He's sunk his own channel. We did nothing at all. He did this to himself. So that's all I'll say on the matter.
That's it. And now continue what you were saying, Ninja Knight, because I see you've got another article there, because this is what we're all about on this channel, talking about real life stuff instead of idiots that want to cause stuff again. Promises, by the way.
Absolutely.
Tell you how much that promises actually mean.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's ignore them and move on, as Disaster Area said. So let's continue. Go ahead, Ninja Knight.
Well, I just wanted to say I've seen Clobbering Times in the chat, and he knows plenty about the comics as well too. So he's well aware.
I'll bring him on. I'll bring him
in. Yeah. I think what's going on here now, I've seen another couple of people in the chat as well too talk about this. This is bleeding cool. Now, this is a shill site for all of these woke SJW comics, so I'm very much so well aware of that. But this is more of an article to be, in my opinion, mocked and laughed at, because this guy here, Rich Johnston, has been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, shill for these companies in their, you know, essentially they're becoming the Titanic. They are sinking this ship. They are hitting this iceberg and they are going down. And guys like this have cheered this sort of stuff on. And I mean, when you see the future state of DC Comics, it is a company that will not survive. And it seems like with the multiple firings that are happening currently, they're firing big talent. They have fired as well too some other talents that have caused problems within the industry. And some of it's been beautiful to watch. But ultimately, I think when you're looking at some of this, it is sad to see a DC Comics company, the company of DC Comics, and bear in mind, Marvel Comics are next. They're coming for them too. They will be dismantled as well. Yeah. Publication of these comics are going away. So I hope these SJWs are ultimately going to be happy, because it's going to be, in my opinion, a very long time, if ever, these comics do return and people get to see what they want to see. But Rich Johnston here provides, and now I will make an aside about this. I've talked about the Whisper networks on my YouTube channel, and I find them to be absolutely despicable in the way they've targeted and harassed male creators, particularly, and people who actually genuinely love comics, the likes of Ethan Van Sciver, for example, the likes of John Mayall, other actors that are in, other very big parts of the comic book machine, for example, like Shane Davis recently. DC Comics won't credit Shane Davis on work that he's done. It's absolutely unbelievable stuff, just because the guys are part of Comicsgate. Now, Comicsgate is not a company, but it will be, I think, a company in the years to come of independent creators that are making their own things now. And what you've tried to see, or what you've seen over the last couple of years, is these SJWs try to attack the character of these individuals so that they will not work again. But luckily, there's the independent route, and people like Ethan Van Sciver have made over $1 million on Cyberfrog, which is beautiful to watch. Yeah, and I love that, you know.
I love it. He's listen, This guy takes no bull either. And when he is accused of stuff, he comes out at all guns blazing. And he's right. Listen, you're right. This Whisper Network, we've heard of them, and they do target, and it is disgusting what's going on. Of course, they don't get called out, do they? No. Yeah. Ethan gets called out all the time for all sorts of nonsense, but nobody ever calls these people out that target him and the other people involved in Comicsgate. I don't know too much about it, so I'll let you talk about it, because obviously I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I do know about the Whisper Network. I do know they have been targeted. But I'll let you continue now there, and there's Clobbering Times actually. Hold on. We'll bring them on real quick. We got Clobbering Times joining us.
Greetings.
Hey, man.
Avon lives.
Hey.
Avon lives.
What's your take on
lives.
this, Clobbering?
On which one in particular?
Well, wherever you want to go with. What do you think about the situation we've talked about at the start, and then particularly DC Comics? You said there that you used to own a comic shop, so you know I'm sure you've seen firsthand the destruction of the industry, and particularly the sales as well too. So if you'd like to tell people exactly what you've seen, that would be fantastic.
Oh, I've been, sadly, and other friends have been saying for years that it's a dead art form. But we were mistaken, because we were saying this before Comicsgate came around, because it really was even before. But the SJW movement started destroying comics. In my opinion, they were kind of destroying it anyway. I mean, sales are just horrible. Print runs are so low now; it's just beyond belief. But you can't sell 60,000 Batman comics. There's something wrong.
There is something wrong when you cannot sell arguably the most popular character and well-known character in the world, and you can't sell 60,000. Listen, I know people that work in comic book shops, man, as well too, and Dave said the same. They are struggling to keep the head above the water at the moment. And they have gone full on in. I don't know if anybody else in the chat here goes into comic book shops, and maybe Clobbering Times, you could expand on this. Comic book shops now have essentially become merchandise shops, not comic book shops anymore.
Yeah, well, most of them, I hate Pop Funkos, but they sell Pop Funkos, Magic, the Gathering cards. Without those, most comic shops will be out of business. And if you go to most of them now, they're doing better back issue business than they ever have.
Yes.
They're huge. It's interesting that the things that sell the most for Marvel and DC right now are not, maybe it's not the most. They're these books called True Believers. They're reprints. For $1, you get silver or Bronze Age comic book reprints. Facsimile books, which are absolute complete facsimiles of older key issues from the Silver or Bronze Age. Both Marvel and DC are doing it. DC calls their dollar books. And these reprint books of old comic books are selling better than their new trash. And wonder why.
Well, it's because it's quality stuff. I mean, look at the likes of Dark Knight Returns, Hush, all popular stories as well. And like you said, the Silver Age and the Gold Age of comics, they're not called the Gold Age and Silver Age for nothing. They are what people grew up on. And I mean, what you have now is the new Warriors. I mean, that was what comic book shops had the hope to open up to when they returned. And I mean, that is a very bad indictment of what's going on with the comic book industry. Very much so. So, as we're seeing here, there's been more layoffs of DC Comics, and Rich Johnson I think he's going to turn a corner, because I think as well too, his site is actually, a lot of people have laughed at it and have definitely brought attention to the shilling that's happening here. So he goes through a number of individuals that have been let go, and I'm hearing at the moment, I don't know whether this is true or not, that Jim Lee is also gone as well too. So that's a big statement of intent. So Daniel Cherry, the third newly appointed DC Comics general manager, is doing exactly what he was brought into DC by Warner Brothers president Pamela Lifford to do. Now, these people that have been employed now at Warner Brothers and AT&T are J.J. Abrams' people. So I would be very, very wary of who they're hiring, who they're firing. They have hired recently Mark Waid and Christian Cooper, two people that are synonymous with problems within the comic book industry. So do keep a very close eye on them. To calculate corporate downsizing, assess minimum requirements. So Kelly Sue DeConnick was booted, which was phenomenal for a lot of fans. Andy Curry was another guy who was ushered in this SJW wokeness. We've had Gail Simone that doesn't look like she'll get a job with them again, which is another fantastic win. And she recently promoted the Gotham Knights game as well too, and said that the lead developer of that, because this stuff is they're trying to take over the gaming industry as well too and ruin it. We've seen what's happened with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They've been bending the knee to them. We're going to see it with Gotham Knights, because Gail Simone said that she really enjoyed the conversation she had with the director of the game, who was a female that supports BLM. So make of that what you will. So they're promoting juniors with small raises. So again, you're seeing the downsizing of a company. This promoting juniors with small raises. I mean, the guys have talked about it here on this channel about Chibnall. Chibnall is working for cheaper than Stephen Moffat would. So there you go. It's happening in every industry now, where they've decided to go woke and they are going broke, and they're going to have to pay people rather than the big top tier talent to fix the problems, and it doesn't look like it. They're applying. They're lucky to still have a job in this economy, and cut freelance rates and commitments. Now this is what's called gaslighting. This is a lie. You're lucky to still have a job in this economy. That's a lie, because why? Ethan Van Sciver has made an awful lot of money over the course of the last few months, particularly in campaigns. He's seen backing. You've seen Todd McFarlane started a Kickstarter that the SJWs tried to get at him and say, don't do that. He decided to do it anyway. Sean Gordon Murphy earned over 250,000. He thought he was going to earn 500 million. 500,000. He didn't, because he thought that the name of himself being on Batman was good enough. He decided to work with Comicsgate and kind of disavow Comicsgate, so he tried to play the fence, didn't work out. And what you're seeing now is people that are doing this gaslighting technique of saying they're still lucky to have a job. That's not true. There's still money being spent on merchandise, hand over fist. People are not spending on the comics. What do you think about that, Clobberin?
Well, everything is. Oh, by the way, Rich Johnson is a scumbag, but he is an absolute lowlife. This site has really no credibility leading to it. But just I had to point that out. But you knew that. So now look, it's proof positive. Comicsgate is proof positive that there are people that still want comics. Yep. The industry will not learn from their mistakes. They will not learn. There was a time when they did, and of course I'm talking 80s and even in the 90s and even in the early 2000s, where when something didn't work, they tried to fix it. That doesn't work anymore, because if they were willing to fix things, they would get rid of all the SJW crap. Yes. They won't do that. They'll double down, and they will destroy themselves, because they're owned by big companies that can take the hit. The people working for them can't take the hit, though. And people like Gail Simone and Ron Mars and so many of these other people, Kelly Sue DeConnick, they're all now reaping the whirlwind, and they're going to be out of a job.
Yes.
Dan Didio already left. They didn't even think they got rid of him.
Yeah.
Which
he was a big guy behind the 5G idea that we're going to look at in a few moments, if that's okay as well too. They've essentially decided to push on with 5G in his absence. Now it seems like at the moment that Dan Didio was the guy that was stopping it, but it seems to be put into play by Jim Lee. Now when I seen some of the panels at DC Fandom, for example, some of it was very, very odd. I mean, they had a whole panel dedicated to licking Candice Patton's arse. It was very strange. Then they had other panels then that were, linking into this whole diversity thing. And it was a very bizarre thing to watch when you had solid panels like, for example, the Zack Snyder panel, and then everything else then was like, this is how woke we're going to go. And it was really embarrassing, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. And they don't, but people like that really don't care about, well, they're not the ones, until they lose their job, they're not the ones concerned about anything. They don't care if anyone else does. Aren't they getting rid of that idiot Bendis now?
Brian Michael Bendis, yeah. He's synonymous with destroying Superman.
He destroys everything.
Yeah.
Everything
and they seem to have
a
one-trick pony, which is they seem to create these teenage black girls that have really weird hairstyles and that they're infinitely smart. Like we've had one recently. He was behind, I think, Riri Williams, and then decided to make a Green Lantern. She was able to hack into Oa and make her own ring, basically outsmart the Guardians, which is incredible stuff, because these are centuries old Guardians, and apparently this female teenager can hack in with her laptop.
Yes. Incredible. He's the worst.
This is stupidity.
That's the problem, though, isn't it? Because if you're going to write someone who's incredibly smart, you need to be pretty incredibly smart to get away with it. And unfortunately for them, they're clearly not. Their stories are clearly full of plot holes, clearly full of erroneous problems that arise from the fact that they're not creative enough or intelligent enough to be able to write smart and creative and intelligent people. And by making them, by the very dint of their diversity, making them absolutely flawless in absolutely every respect, really is undermining that character, because they make them so boring. Because no one wants perfection in any character, because where do you take them? You can't do anything with them, because
all characters are flawed, male and female. They all have flaws, but saying that they don't write these characters with flaws anymore.
Pandering, pure pandering.
Can't have these flaws, and I'm sorry, it's absolutely ridiculous. This is not. This isn't the way we want our characters written. We want them written with their flaws and all their warts and all of that. And
that's what brings us to them.
Yeah, when you make characters
they're
like
relatable.
In the Star Wars franchise, where she has no flaws, you're going to turn your audience off because it's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look at the Mandalorian. I mean, the Mandalorian often takes a whooping. He can take a beating. He misses punches. All of this sort of stuff. And you have then Wonder Ray, who can do absolutely everything. And it's just not, as a fan, it's not enjoyable, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's not something you want to see. You don't want to see
someone
completely win. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you see the fight with Ray and Kylo Ren, I mean, he's supposed to be the big scary villain, and she just knocks him, about and wins. I mean, you remove the threat to the superhuman person who's flawless. You see no growth. You see, therefore, no story. You see them take out the villain without any problem. So you remove the threat. So immediately you've made the entire story incredibly dull and boring.
Exactly, and I mean, we've just recently watched the original trilogy, and I mean, you see the character growth in Luke Skywalker. I mean, if you had Darth Vader in that first movie and Luke Skywalker dealt him a whooping, there's nobody that's going to take Darth Vader credibly. What happens over the next two movies? The second movie, Vader toys with him. Absolutely toys with him, because this guy thinks he's a Jedi, and he absolutely toys with Luke.
It took 3 movies for Luke to get to being half as good as he is in the first one.
He barely got past Vader in the third one, because in the third one he actually does what the Emperor wants, which is he gives in to his anger, he gives in to his hatred, and that's only when only then does he defeat Vader in a way, because Vader's overwhelmed by someone that's even more aggressive than him at that point in time. Now, I mean, there is the argument that Vader has lost his touch a little bit because he realizes this is his son, whereas Luke is engulfed by this anger. And it's something we don't see with that new trilogy. I mean, the Rey. I feel sorry for Daisy Ridley, because I mean, the character was written so blandly that it's just done a total disservice to her as an actress. And I mean, again,
it's ruined her career. I mean, she's not getting the work.
Well, it's rocked her career. I mean, the only person for me that came out of that trilogy looking well is Adam Driver. The only one is him, because he played someone with range.
I think he's a terrible character. Also, Kylo Ren's awful, I think, but. When you come back, we talk to characters and talk about writers, to touch back, to sort of go back to comics for a second, to quote a brilliant writer who may be a nut job, but he was brilliant, Alan Moore. He once said, and now I don't know if he was quoting anyone or not, but he once said, and he made this famous in an interview back in the 80s, he once said, because he was they were asking him, what are you doing with some of these silly comic book characters that he made so brilliant in some of the stories? He said, there are no bad characters, only bad writers.
Yes,
and and as much as a nut job as Grant Morrison is, he took a dumb character like Animal Man, and did 26 issues of pure brilliance with him, proving that you can take a good writer can take any character,
absolutely right,
and do a wonderful job with him.
Or you can do Chibnall and take a great, wonderful character and ruin it into something.
Works both ways. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely. And then looking at this article, then again, like it says, it is also notable that Marie Javins is, as editor-in-chief, is reporting directly to Cherry rather than DC Comics publisher and CCO Jim Lee. So that makes then Jim Lee is effectively moot in this point in time. It's nothing to do with him anymore. They've seen so much failure now that someone else is going in now to sort the mess. Lee has denied earlier rumours that he was planning to transition out of DC in 2020, but this does seem to cut him out of the editorial loop. I've been informed that DC Comics YA original graphic novel editors are being reassigned, nicknamed Javins as lieutenants. Now, for anybody that doesn't know,
Wow.
that's that, you know, I Came in the Ocean shit that they put out a while ago.
Young Gotham High or whatever.
Gotham High, which was absolutely disgusting. They changed
Asian Batman, yeah.
and then they made a black Dick Grayson. They had the Joker be a white guy and was absolutely horrendous. They then, changed Selena Kyle Catwoman as well too. Everybody, Alfred was changed into a gay Asian man, which is entirely bizarre. But that was a self-insert from Melissa De La Cruz, and I mean, Jim Lee is not. He is there to blame. I mean, an awful lot of people I do see online, well, Jim's not to blame. Jim is in charge of this shit, and he's greenlighting this. Yeah. And I mean, to me, he's just as culpable as anybody else,
I agree.
So Bleeding Kill, I'll just finish the article, sorry. It says, Bleeding Kill wishes to extend our good wishes to all those both leaving and staying at the publisher. It's a horrible time for this to be happening to anyone. So he's basically saying, any job that's
calling everyone else Yahtzees and all the rest of it.
Anybody else that has if you get any work, please talk to me, is what Rich Johnson is saying. So it doesn't surprise
piss water.
Yes.
So we've seen some of the new slate as well too from DC Comics, and it doesn't make for good viewing. I don't know what Noel thinks about the comic book industry here at the moment. What do you reckon, Noel?
Well, I do every Thursday. Well, it's coming back. I do a comic book thing on Raboy's channel, and he does bring all these independent comic book creators on, supports them. The industry, look, I seen this Gotham High rubbish. I seen the Safe Space and Snowflake, the New Warriors, and the big fat chick with the
Trailblazer
pack. I mean, look, if they think that's what
they should have called it,
clearly missed the mark. The comic book, you're right though. The comic book shops have become merchandise sellers instead of selling the things that they're supposed to be selling, because they know themselves that these comics are not selling, and these people behind them are supposed to be supporting these comic book stores. But it's like as if they want to destroy the whole industry.
Oh, they do.
They want to do with the film industry. They just want to do everything their way, and if you're not game with them, you see what happens anyway.
My way or the highway.
I have a theory.
I think it's disgusting anyway, to be quite honest with you. It's like they're not going to survive if it continues. And I see, look at this now. What's this rubbish?
Well, just before we start this, I have a theory. My theory is that they're actively trying to destroy this entertainment, so that the only entertainment that be greenlit will be their entertainment.
Absolutely right.
We've seen this weirdo cartoon that has been greenlit recently. I don't know whether anybody else here has seen it, but I mean, it was baffling stuff. These two women involved with this deity of a cat or something like that. It was very strange. It's SJW stuff down to a T. And I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to rid these places of all sort of entertainment that we like, and then put their stuff into it and hope that people will be dumb enough to go and view it. I don't think people will.
It is a war of attrition. It is a war. I mean, this is what the extreme left does. They set a war in motion of attrition, where you will be ground down and demoralized. Demoralization is really key to part of their warfare tactics.
Yeah,
they demoralize and demoralize and demoralize until you give in. That's the idea. And then once they've done erasing history, erasing everything that they don't like, they start grafting their own versions of those things until they're absolutely mutilated beyond recognition, until they are destroyed and reconstituted in their own image, which is
sure. Look what in Assassin's Creed, Ninja Knight brought it up. They apologized because of certain language in those games. Now, those games have always had this sort of language in it, but the fact that they bent the knee and apologized, I'm just going to say now, I do have a couple of Assassin's Creed games. I'm actually going to trade them in. I will never play another Assassin's Creed game until they all cop onto themselves. And this is what we need to be doing, folks. You don't support these companies, right, until they cop on Yeah, you hit them where it hurts. You don't buy the merchandise, you don't buy nothing. Okay, it's as simple as that. Until they cop on. The comic book industry has been around a very, very long time, right? It's had its struggles through the years, but has always managed to survive because of the great content that these comic book creators have put out. But since this new wave of writer has come along or infiltrated these companies, you can see that everything that we love and know is being destroyed because it's all toxic. And they're doing the same in the film industry. They do the same with TV shows and all of that other business. Now, it's gotten into games now. And games I always thought were going to be immune from all of this bull because at the end of the day, they're just games. But these people are so fucking far up their own arses.
Well, they make everything political, and that means everything in the bedroom, everything that they claim to identify as.
And if the gaming industry starts going on like this, I'm seriously considering not buying another console again or a game ever again. Even with FIFA 20, though I don't have the new FIFA, but even with FIFA 20, every time I turned on that game, there was like, let's treat each other with respect. We fully support Black Lives Matter and all of this. And then I even noticed a few weeks after that, if you looked into the crowd on your football game, there were mostly black people in the crowd. They literally changed the crowd in the latest update, like in that game. And warning for that we're going to support, we're not going to tolerate any nonsense. Now, it's actually come to light that Sony has been spying on chats. Live chats, when you're having conversations with your friends, they've been spying and they've been listening to your conversations. And then if you say anything that they perceive to be toxic, you're on the blacklist. So we're coming to a very dangerous time now.
It's Orwellian.
And look at what's happening in America. I mean, this is going to have lasting repercussions. And the comic book industry, sadly, and I hate to say this, I think that's why there's a lot more independent comic book creators out there. They know themselves that this industry is dead in the water. And it's going to be guys like Ethan and all those other people that Rabbi has brought on. They're going to be the future of this industry. And they should be supported wholeheartedly. I don't even buy comics because I was poor. My man and dad couldn't afford comics. But I tell you now, I'd support these guys. Not a bother, just to stick it up to the comic book industry. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because you know what?
Yeah.
All fandoms are under attack. All of
them. She's a dangerous cow, that Gail Simone. I mean, she's
absolutely.
And she did say something about, I think we commented on someone's comment a few months back. I think it got to do with Lord of the Rings or something. And she was asking your man, the private messenger, and then all of a sudden, then everybody was in, leave Lord of the Rings alone. And then here was people, you better not hire Gail Simone because if you do, it's game over for your yoke. And then he was like, calm down. She just wants to have a chat. This woman is looking for work because she knows she's not going to get any. They need to be all kicked out and kicked to the curb and never given another job in this industry again. But for create your own for your own.
To borrow an old term, they are wreckers of civilization.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Gail Simone got her way into comics, and I mean, this is true. She wrote an article. Yeah, she wrote an article. Ron Mars, and if you check out some of the stuff, the wild stuff that guy writes on Twitter now these days, he's an idiot. Yeah, he had one of the characters' girlfriends basically be deleted by a villain and put into a refrigerator. Gail Simone took issue with that, and DC Comics panicked. They sweat, and they said, how do we fix this? They brought her in. They had a meeting with Ron Mars. This is ridiculous stuff, by the way. And eventually she came out of it with a job at DC Comics. She had no experience of writing these characters. She had no knowledge of these characters.
This is how they get work. They use fear, intimidation, threats of exposure, the Twitter hate mob. They've got them all on board.
No,
It's
that became
organized pandemonium.
it became a term, refrigerator. Every time something bad would happen to a woman in a comic book, she was refrigerator. That's how ridiculous this is.
But the way they act is not much different than terrorists act. You know, there's fear, intimidation, and threats of violence.
Villains are supposed to do bad things.
Well, yes,
but they never do bad things to men ever. Did you know that, Andrew? Only women.
Apparently not.
Only women get killed in comic books and in movies.
Well, men are expendable. Come on, you should know that by now. Men don't matter.
Yeah, it's pathetic. She's
totally agree.
But Ron Mars is another one of those wimps who just bent the knee. He was a crappy writer anyway, in my opinion. But he's one of those. Jared Conway is a nut. A lot of these, even some of the older writers like him, have bent a knee, and that's why they can't. There's no industry left because they're crazy.
Yeah. Well, Jerry's gone off the reservation altogether. I mean, that's a guy that created the Punisher, and now he's been saying that people shouldn't be wearing the symbol or anything like that if they support the police. It's unbelievable stuff. Anyway, we'll have a look at DC's actual site here, and I mean, this is what they're promoting here at the moment, as you can see here on their actual site here. So that they're going full on this absolute nonsense. So they're giving us the future state, a glimpse into the future of the DC universe. I'll tell you where the DC universe's future is. 6 feet under, mate. 6 feet under. It's done. With this stuff there, what you've done here is you've created a non-binary character here, whatever that means, because there are two genders, and I am willing to say that. And you have this character here, and notice as well too that they certainly seem to do this to black male characters. By the way, they make them non-binary, or they make them very extremely effeminate,
racist,
very much
basically.
so. And I mean, look at Daniel Kibblesmith. He felt threatened by Night Thrasher from the Marvel comics, and he decided then to make Snowflake and Safe Space. I mean, one of my favorite characters is Luke Cage. I mean, John Stewart is my favorite Lantern. He's a big, burly, militaristic guy. I love John Stewart, and that would be the type of person that Daniel Kibblesmith would be absolutely afraid of. And this is what we can see here as our new Green Lantern. This lady here with the big shades.
Oh boy! And that'll be on the HBO Max too, probably.
That is what's going to be on the HBO Max, and I'll tell you why, because this is a character that is perfectly suited to Mark Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti. Now,
what's the thing with Dame Edna Everett sunglasses? Seriously.
Yeah, it's very peculiar. But those are two guys that were in charge of the Arrowverse, the CW shows that have absolutely tanked in ratings because they went woke. And these two guys are going to come over and they're going to put the deadly touch on Green Lantern. What I think will happen there is, because they have Guy Gardner, who, by the way, is a red-haired character, so we will see how they cast that one. But Guy Gardner is your average toxic male because he likes to make jokes and he likes to do his own thing. So I'm not looking forward to seeing how they will treat Guy Gardner.
Oh my goodness.
But looking at this slate here, I mean, this is not looking good. I mean, instead of creating an all-new character, you've decided to slap the Flash's symbol on another character that's now non-binary, and that is not going to go down well. You'll see some of the rest of the characters here, and it's also not great viewing either.
Notice that it's always non-binary. It's never a gay man either.
Yeah.
I just want to point this out. I've noticed this. Well, I would. That it's not okay to be gay anymore. It's this kind of deflection. It really does go to prove how not only are they against straight white men, they're against gay white men. They're against all gay men, because now it's this it's not cool to be gay anymore. It's now trendy to be non-binary, or to be polysexual, or to be trans, or to be anything but gay. Like it's me, and also to be non-binary, but a typical jock with pink spandex. Yeah, really.
Yeah,
I mean, but that's why they're doing to Batman what they're doing. I mean, look at you only have to look at this slate here, and you look at what's happening. There's Superman here, okay? So this is allegedly our original Superman. This seems to be possibly either Jonathan Kent or Superboy. Again, that could be Jonathan Kent or Superboy here in the background. But look at Superman here. He's wearing shackles. He's wearing chains. That's not a mistake. That's a purposeful thing. He's wearing a collar here, as you can see here as well too. That's a very direct attempt at saying, here's your ultimate masculine character. We are shackling him. We are putting him in chains.
You can't read that in any other way. I'm sorry.
You can't read that in any other way. You have a Batman here now that is effectively going to be known as Black Man. They've decided to put a black man into the Batman mantle rather than propping up, in my opinion, Batwing, who I think Lucius Fox's relative Luke Fox would have been a better idea if they gave him maybe a new suit. They're essentially putting him into the Batman mantle while turning Batman into Nomad over here, and essentially a cross between the Punisher and Captain America with the way he looks. And I mean, he's just taken Batman's shit. That's all he's done. Like, I mean, you're looking at it right here.
Nothing's earned, is it? It's just handed over.
Yep.
As like a, some waving a white flag.
Kind of says something, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, I mean, it is purely done as a form of vengeance. And it's not earned. It's look, nothing wrong with creating amazing, great, wonderful black or non-white characters, but this concerted effort to bring down, replace anyone who's white, especially redheads. It's to me, it's so cynical, and it's pandering, and it's insulting to people who've treasured these things for all their lives. But again, as I've said, this is a war. It is a war of ideas, bad ideas versus traditional ideas, which have lasted thousands of years. With this new narcissistic, self-referential nonsense, and it is purely colonialism. They like to bang on about colonialism. Well, let me tell you, you are it. You are the modern day colonialists. You are intellectual colonialists. You move in onto someone else's property, you take it over, and you replace the population. And you also subvert the population. You also subvert the ideas of the host nation. And so you are doing exactly what you accuse everyone in history of, and even today's people. And it just smacks to me of these people do not understand irony at all. At all.
No, you're absolutely right there, and I mean, some of the stuff that you're saying here, I mean, it's like you said, if they created new characters, that's absolutely fine. But this handling of mantles to other people just because it's pure tokenism. Like you're seeing there, Wonder Woman again, she's chained as well to what seems some sort of green element here, possibly kryptonite, and then you have this Brazilian version of Wonder Woman. I mean, create an all-new character. Why is Wonder Woman now just pigmentally different? That adds nothing.
Well, you're she's Amazonian anyway, isn't she?
Yeah, how much on the nose can you get? She's from the Amazon in Brazil. I mean, look, that's how devoid of ideas.
She's also the daughter of Zeus, I mean.
Yeah, well, Diana is, but this character over here, I don't know what they're going to do with this. Then you come over here, and I just want to take your attention to this. They've decided to copy and paste this character into this character over here. They both have Oscar Pistorius legs, as you can see. So they've decided to go for the all-inclusive, ableism.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. They're new characters.
They are this one here is where a Flash symbol, so it appear not to be. It's basically just going to take the Flashes as his name.
So they can't create interesting new, differently abled characters without trading on established names. So
they need an established name. Yeah,
that's incredibly tokenistic because it shows a lack of conviction.
Yes,
to be able to create strong characters in their own world, in their own right, without having to take away something and replace it with something else. That to me smacks of cynicism. It means you don't fully believe in what you're doing. You're doing this to virtue signal. You have no interest in the characters. You're not going to create interesting characters. You're just going to trade off on these characters' names and apply shitty writing just to make sure that you look good at cocktail parties.
Oh yeah, and that's what it's all about. And I mean, like that as well too. They put one on the right hand side of the poster and one on the left, hoping that you probably won't see that and draw the parallels of like, hey, they just copied and pasted that across there. This whole thing, this whole future slate is a copy and paste. They've copy and pasted Batman, they've copy and pasted Wonder Woman, they've copied and pasted Superman 3 times. Up here as well too, they have Aqualad that seems to have grown. Apparently, Mira now, funnily enough, is going to lead the Aquaman comics from what it seems to be. But like, I mean, when you take the in-world explanation, I mean, taking your point of what you're saying about differently abled, absolutely bring them in. But, you know, this is a league, a Justice League that has future tech. I mean, surely they could come up with something better than these legs. You know what I mean? They could give them cybernetic implants or something like that that could withstand the effect of running. But again, you are just bartering on the name of the Flash rather than saying, right, here's an all-new character and they have these legs. And you'd say, fantastic, that's great, brilliant. But then they will not have the bravery to say, oh, well, this character is actually non-binary as well, too. But again, they're trying to try it off on, hey, they're wearing an electric bolt on their chest and hopefully people will buy this stuff. It's incredible.
Mm. Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, it's the height of arrogance. And again, how many of these writers are themselves disabled? Or, you know, I mean, it just seems to me that it's self-serving to get points on Twitter. It doesn't serve the audience, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there might be some who are disabled who would like these kind of things, but I would say to them, I would say to them, let me finish my point. I would say to them, like I would say to myself when I see clear, objective pandering, that do you want to be talked down to, or do you want to be spoken to on a level? To me, this is speaking down. This is like they're delivering these to look good, not because they care about you. I mean, we've spotted this. I mean, as I said earlier, with these virtue signaling Twitter people with their feminism, this and non-binary, and then they'll go and attack Gal Gadot and Gina Carano and say the most vilest stuff that they usually accuse people on the other side of. These are the same people who run these comics. Double standards all around. They don't care about you. They do not. They care about how they are perceived on Twitter. That's all.
Look at the guy that was in charge of Star Wars Squadrons. I mean, he was prominently at the abuse and abusing Gina Carano, and then he has the gall then to say, well, we inserted the pronouns they into this to describe one character that was a female, and it's like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like,
why can't they just be like heterosexual? I mean, look, I get that you want representation. Create your own interesting characters.
I say, why can't
for your audience? Stop taking away other people's shit.
Instead of taking already established characters and trying to change these characters. No, disrespectful. You create characters.
Imagine if they took a gay character and turned it straight.
I wouldn't agree with that. I wouldn't agree with that. And I mean, there's many great gay characters that are there in the world that have been there from the start. And I would absolutely despise it. I would also, and I'm on the same page as well too, I would hate to see the likes of Jon Stewart race change to like a white man. I would hate to see Jessica Cruz be anything else other than a Latino woman.
Tell you, they're going to come, like any gay characters that are left will probably end up being turned non-binary or trans or something, because that's not cool anymore.
Possibly going to be the way it's going. And I mean, you are getting to see this sort of stuff become more prevalent in these comic books, and I suppose that they are trying to drive that notion that people that are in that community now are actually, essentially, I mean, what they're trying to call you is absolutely nobody. That's what they're trying to do. And I mean, this whole, pronoun sort of stuff going on, they're trying to dehumanize you in a way, using words by saying you're not a he or a she, you're something else. And it's like, well, science dictates that you're a man or a woman.
Listen, all this is encouragement of fantasy. People are encouraged to infantilize themselves and to live in a fantasy bubble, and you're enabling this, you're encouraging this. It's not helping mental health, it's encouraging mental health disparity, and it's making a mockery of the whole mental health argument. By enabling this kind of thing, you're not helping people. You're just encouraging people to delve further and further away into this realm where they can believe that they can fly, almost, you know, like they're kind of some fairy folk or something.
Yeah.
This is not helpful. This is
No.
not handy. This is making
No.
a mockery out of people who are gay or lesbian. You're denying them their real, if you want to call it identity, I don't, but you know, their real sexuality by making them almost homophobic, actually, because they would rather be absolutely anything else than gay. You know, just plain old gay or straight, one of the two, you know, or in between. But now you have to be several different other options, anything but boring old gay, you know. And it's just like, for me, I find that really offensive, and I find that is causing so much division, and it's using that god awful rainbow flag and all it used to stand for something completely altogether new and different, which I certainly wasn't asked in any meeting. I missed the memo where this was going, and quite honestly, I find it really rather disturbing, because it's again pandering to this kind of fantasy land, and not only is it a fantasy land, which is in itself kind of dangerous, but it's also creating a sledgehammer and a shield to criticism, because they'll go after you, and they come after me, and it's like, well, that's not very fucking inclusive, is it?
Listen, I'm not being sent something by Chris Persia, who's our mod.
Okay.
It seems to be. I'll put your news back up now. Then
okay.
This is in relation to what you were talking about earlier on with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing.
Right.
So apparently, someone has a petition up on change.org. But very interestingly enough, now we have to say that this is rumor and speculation, but they have this thing here. Can I make this big by any chance?
Try to open the image in the new tab, would it be? Maybe could you do that?
Not with this bloody computer.
Can you, try the top left hand or top right hand corner where you can zoom in with the three little dots. Can you zoom in on the image?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, hold on. Yeah, you're
try
right.
that one.
Let's zoom in. There we go. Where's zoom? There it is. Zoom this in.
Yeah, that's perfect. Now keep doing that. Yeah, that's the one.
I'll move it up. Hold on, because I'm a boomer. Give me a second, guys.
Zoom it in a couple more times as well too when you get down to it. Yeah.
I will. Sorry, guys, for being a bit of a boomer.
You have made it.
That's it. Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
Perfect.
Right. So let's see. So this seems to be a piece of paper, and it's got names. So they've made up. They've. This is speculation, but they've come up. So the judge. There's the judge, right? We've got this person here. I don't know what they're trying to say, but they're trying to show.
I'm showing you the connection between.
Tell me, did Chris? So Chris is saying that this article, which is rumor and speculation, this petition, but this thing that they put, they're showing basically the connection between Dan Hutton, the judge, and Amber Heard. It seems to be an inside job, if I'm correct in saying that's what this person that has this.
The judge is Andrew Nichol.
Yeah, so there's the judge, right? So they've got arrows. There's the son, Robert Palmer. Then Talk UK Radio employs Dan Wootton. So basically what they're doing is they're connecting all the dots with this little piece of paper and showing you how all of these people are linked. And then it ends up, I don't know underneath here because I've zoomed it, but it ends up going up this way then, and private dinner party be Jordan the trial. So apparently, according to this, these people that are all involved went to a private dinner, and then they mentioned a couple of more names here, and then it links to Amber Heard is what they're saying. So let's see what they've actually said in their petition, right? So it says
that's less than 6 degrees by the looks of it.
Yeah. So Johnny Depp stood no chance in the UK defamation trial against his son from the beginning. Justice Nicole was a lawyer championing for freedom of the press for the Times, which is owned by Murdoch, who employs his son. The judge's son works with the defendant, Dan Wootton, That's the godshite that does be on Twitter all the time. He does do some good work sometimes, but I'm disgusted with him over this. This combined with other connections between the judge and Amber Heard set Johnny Depp up to fail from the beginning. So that's what they're trying to prove here, that there's actually conspiracy in place. Actually, Ninja Knight did say that there was, that there was something dodgy going on. This
that was me, Noel.
Not you, but this change.org thing, they're obviously connecting the dots. Now, again, I have to say this is rumor and speculation because we obviously don't know what happened. But she says check out the chat here. Okay, we'll connect. We'll press this and see what happens. Actually.
Well, this seems to go, and thanks, Chris Persia, for linking us to this one because this is entirely interesting. Just careful with that one there.
Stream, and it's at an hour and 17 minutes. I'm not playing an hour and 17 minute stream. Sorry.
Just in case. But like, I think there, Chris Persia, thanks very much for bringing this in. But it goes to show the connections that these people have and why I think that she believed that as well too, that she was going to get away with this. Ultimately, it's proven pretty much with that link, and those links are generally fairly spot on.
And Chris, if you put the link back in the chat,
so people can check it out themselves. Yeah. So there you go. The video is Johnny Depp had no chance. Judge's son works with Dan. Now they've unlisted this video though, which means they must be getting some sort of backlash themselves if they've unlisted this video.
I think it's
only open if you click the link. So if you go directly to the
no, you'll see it if you get the link, but he has unlisted it on his YouTube channel, which means if you don't have a link to it, you're not going to see it.
That's right.
So
I'm gonna just say, I'm gonna paraphrase what Tyrion Lannister said in Game of Thrones. When you rip a man's tongue out, you're not proving him to be a liar. You're only stopping him from telling his truth or telling the truth.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear what he has to say because it's going to be a problem.
And that in itself is Twitter.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what you're seeing. A very heavy amount of individuals move over to Parler now, and we'll see what happens there.
Anyone who's convinced of their own argument shouldn't be afraid of hearing the opposition, because if they're right, they're right. If they're right, they have no need to worry about what other people say. But if you are not so convinced of your own truths and facts, then you should listen to other people and not be afraid of it and try and silence people. If you're trying to silence people, let me tell you something. You are in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Full stop.
No, and that's what Twitter are at now at the moment, which is interesting. But I think a question in my mind is to ask Clobber and Times. Clobber and Times, if you saying this was your future slate, this is the characters that you had to go with as a comic book shop owner, what would be? I would be fascinated to know your thoughts and what would be running through your mind when you see this.
Bankruptcy, I should imagine.
It would be. I'm not carrying this crap. I'll just stick with back issues, and I'll probably right now, if I were a comic shop owner, I probably would not carry new comics on the shelves. Now, of course, if I were a comic shop owner with a folder system, I would limit myself right now to only anyone who wants to order this crap. By the way, DC is not even in previews anymore.
Wow.
But I would fill my customer base's wishes, and I would fill the folders if they still wanted to order this crap, because people can order and buy whatever they want. But I wouldn't put it on my shelves anymore.
Right.
So they're more Marvel, really.
So you would kind of like the advertisement side of it as well too. Like, I mean, would there be a point? Would you order a number of them that people would come to you, or would you say to yourself, "Well, I'll need 20 copies of this, 30 copies of that"? What way would you work that? Now, when we're seeing this slate itself,
I would not put any of this on. I would on spec. I would not, in other words, put any of it on my shelves anymore. Like I said, just order pre-orders.
Right.
And really, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even like doing that. But if the customer wants something, and I've been selling to them for years, if I have, I'm not going to tell them they can't buy something.
Also, as well, too, what's your thoughts on, because a lot of people see the likes of the number 100s, for example, as well, too, and this is going to be a brand new start from number one. When you see that as well too, is that, in your opinion, what sort of messages does that give off? Does that let people get off the train at the station, and then sort of say, well, that's enough of that now? Because we've already seen Heel versus Babyface has essentially said that. He said, like, I mean, I'm at a perfect number there. I don't need any more. You've given me a destination to get off at. Do you think that was a smart business model to entice new people, or do you think that is pretty much the nail in the coffin when they did that?
they have been spinning their wheels at this, restarting the #1 crap in the industry far before any of this SJW crap has been going on, and it never worked. I mean, never, because all you're really doing is giving someone a jumping off point when you think you're giving someone a jumping on point. A few people do jump on, but never. Usually, you also lose a lot of the people who were there to begin with on the old numbering, and they've been doing that for a long time. That's part of the reason you've seen, at least in the fairly recent past, where let's say they've started a character on another #1, right? But they were back in the, let's say they started in the Silver and Bronze Age, and they were up to issue 400 and such, and then they would go back to #1. Then they started putting that legacy, quote unquote, legacy number on the book, like if it was FF or something, Fantastic Four or Justice League. You know, have you ever noticed how they'll start putting? This is number 50. This is number 52 of the Fantastic Four, but legacy numbering, if you count up all the other series, it's number 780, whatever.
Right.
They started to do that a lot for a while there because
erasing history.
Yeah, but they're trying to add it back because they realize people don't like to see characters titles started and stopped again. So
I love this explanation from you, because you're really letting people know what's happening. You know, from a retailer's point of view.
But I have not been one for a very, very long time. Because I started back in the early '80s, and I ran other shops and owned my own for a while there. And shocker, I own the comics. I get joked about like Gary does now. You know, Gary gets ribbed every time he mentions it. But he owned it in a far different era, in a far different situation than I did. This was the '80s when comic shops were almost unheard of. Early '80s and things like that. You know, and if you look at the print run of some of this stuff now, the biggest selling comic book right now would be canceled in 1983.
Wow.
That tiny of a print run.
Whoa, that's incredible.
Your lowest selling comics back then were still, you know, inching up into the 80,000 print runs and near the 100,000 print runs, somewhere up in there. I mean, comics that would get canceled within 5, 6, 10 issues, whatever it was, would still sell 2 or 3 or 4 times more than your big sellers now.
Yeah. And I mean, to go on that point, what you're saying about big sellers, I mean, Ghost Rider is going to be reintroduced into the MCU. They've cancelled his comic. They've cancelled the Doctor Strange comic as well, too. He's actively in the MCU. He should be doing serious numbers. Cancelled comic, out, gone. That is incredible stuff.
Well, they hardly sell Batman or Spider-Man now.
That's unbelievable.
I've heard some print runs on some stuff, like IDW. I mean, then IDW has all the licensed comics. Yeah. The only one of the new comics I actually still kind of get is Star Trek Year 5.
This is what they want. They want to.
Well, yeah.
They want Batman. They want Superman. They want Spider-Man to be gone. They want to replace them. They want to destroy them, and then ease them out, and then say, "Well, it's not selling. We don't know why." They're going to
get their wish.
Here's a bunch of new characters, you know, or replaced characters. You know, now you can't have Spider-Man as Peter Parker anymore. You can't have Clark Kent Superman anymore. And so this is it. It's erasure through gradual osmosis. Out go the old, in come the new, and there's nothing to see here. We can't explain why people aren't buying these comics. They're Spider-Man and Superman. Clearly, they don't want those old white guys anymore. That's what it is.
Some of the IDW books, like I actually do get Star Trek Year 5 because it's based on the original series. I hear the print runs under 10,000 now. That's insane. That's unbelievable. A Star Trek comic, mind you.
Yeah.
And now maybe some of their other books do a little bit more than that. Remember, they have all the licensed stuff.
Yeah. And licensed stuff is selling, you know what I mean? Like, they have Transformers that's at IDW. They have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the IDW. That's seem to have seen a bit of a reinvigoration with Eastman and Laird teaming up for the likes of The Last Ronin. I mean, apparently you couldn't get that anywhere, that comic book. And I mean, that goes to show you that something so popular is difficult to get, you know? I mean, McFarlane has passed 300 issues on Spawn as well, too. And that looks like it's going to keep on churning. But you know, I think we are ultimately seeing the death of the comic book industry, and I see Rob Fellows has made a great point there as well. They've talked about the variant covers. I mean, that was another one that it was an absolute con. I mean, like, you have characters or incidents on a comic book cover that doesn't actually occur inside the comic book. I mean, that is nonsense in my opinion. You know, the whole idea is to say, look at what we have. You know what I mean? So it's
Chris
you know,
Pershing's got another comment there.
brilliant comment, and he's talking about Riri Williams. Iron Man was while Favreau was making Iron Man a start in the MCU, similar to Cap. He was a Hydra agent while an Avenger in the MCU. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at the Spider-Man stuff at the moment. Miles Morales is front and center instead of Peter Parker. I mean, Peter Parker's in the MCU now, and they have Miles Morales printed everywhere. I mean, for anyone that's grown up, they're highly confused, I'd imagine, at this point in time, that they're like, Miles is the Spider-Man. No, he's not. It's Peter Parker, you know? So you do have the syncrasy. Am I saying that right? The syncrasy of these comics to the movies is inexplicable, and it's unforgivable. You know, because you'd want to be promoting these characters in many different formats as much as possible.
And thick Wonder Woman. Yeah, remember that awful cover? Good
Wonder
Lord.
Woman, yeah.
Yeah,
Hunger Woman is what I called her because
I don't think
What's
she's
absolutely
gonna
right.
get
I called her what she was. I called her what she was. A fat bitch.
I posted up Thunder Woman from
Yeah, I called her
Woman,
Thunder.
Gary.
Thunder
That's
Woman
not
or
Gary
something.
Cooper. What was his name?
Yeah,
Oh,
what are the, we don't want to know Beast Wonder
Henry
Woman.
Cooper.
Fucking morons.
It's absolutely right. What Chris
Wonder Woman
Pershing
is
saying.
thick,
Yes, that's absolutely.
right?
And I believe Noel wanted to talk.
Love, fit. Oh, I can't believe what Ted is doing.
I thought you wanted to talk Doctor Who.
Hold on, wait, give me a second. I have to give out to the dog.
Right, give out to the dog there and sort it out. But yeah, no, look, I think ultimately what we're saying is the dismantling of the comic book industry. Luckily, we have independent creators out there that are doing their own thing. We're seeing the likes of Transformers now is going woke, it's going broke. IDW are basically keeping their doors open. They had essentially a communist writing G.I. Joe not too long ago, which is inexplicable and unforgivable in my opinion.
Aubrey Sitterson,
who changed an awful lot of characters as well too there, and I mean they're doing the same with Snake Eyes for the movie, which I'm passing on due to that reason. And they're effectively just trying to drive entertainment into the ground and destroy it, and it's a sad time. But I do personally believe, you might call me naive, I do think that there will be a point in time where these characters will be dusted off eventually, maybe 5, 10, 20 years down the line, and they'll be reinvigorated, they'll be brought back. They'll get people who love them, who understand them, who want to see them succeed, and not seemingly want to poke their fingers into the eyes of the long-standing fan and say, you're an ist and a phobe for liking these characters. No. Instead, you will get someone that will love them and will give them the respect that they deserve, and ultimately you're respecting the fans.
Yep. I really like what Chris Persia points out. That point cannot be made enough. Mm-hmm. Marvel is so friggin' stupid that they've in the height of the powers of the MCU, they don't have Tony Stark in their Iron Man comic. They keep killing Captain America and putting them out and putting other people in the costume. They just are tone deaf.
See, the plan was as well too at the time, as you know, they had an individual that was there that wanted to make the changes and the shift into this whole, pass the baton on to these diversity hires and different characters, likes of the Falcon, likes of Miles Morales, likes of Jane Foster, Thor. These characters that are so far removed from the original characters, and then they act surprised. I mean, instead of riding the MCU wave and the Disney wave of like, hey, these things are popular right now, put them back in the suits. It was like, no, we'll die on this hill and we'll put these ridiculous characters that nobody's heard about into the comic books. I can't tell you the amount of people.
Complex. This is a martyrdom complex. They know it's failing, but they want to go, we are morally superior, and look what they're doing to us. We're going to die on this hill because we are righteous and virtuous.
That's it. Right, listen, though, we have covered this for an hour and a half, 45 minutes now. Just want to talk a little bit about Doctor Who, if that's okay, before we leave.
You fire ahead, man. It's your stream.
So we had the Dalek feckin' thing dropped today. Now, I've been looking at some of the comments on Twitter and stuff. People are not impressed.
Doesn't surprise me.
So I'm actually not surprised there. A couple of people have even commented to say, well, why don't you just concentrate on making the show good instead of throwing out crap like this? So it seems to have not gone down well. Now, for anybody that's on the panel with me, if you just want to hang on, and
Yes, absolutely.
we'll watch it privately when the stream is done to see how bad this actually is. But has anybody in the chat watched it? Let me know. And if you have watched it, let me know, what would you give it out of 10? Right? That'll give us a gauge of how good or bad it
and we'll do a review on it for tomorrow for Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, for TARDIS Zone talks, and then we can
we're doing the TARDIS Zone talks tomorrow, and we will be doing more into the Doctor Who news. Listen, to be honest with you, I'm glad that Ninja Knight brought all of this stuff up, because it is nice to talk about something different than Doctor Who all the time. And this is why I love bringing them on, because we will be talking about different topics. So do you know what? I was actually thinking, right, I know the quiz comes back next Thursday, but I was thinking that if you three lads that are on the panel now, I know I said I was going to kind of limit the panels, but we literally don't do any anymore. So what I was thinking is every Thursday we can have this as the panel.
Yeah.
I'm game.
Right? And then I'm honored. So here's the thing, right? This is what I'll say to you. What Ninja Knight did, he got his stuff prepped that he wants to talk about. So Lee, if you want to talk about something next week, next Thursday,
yeah, sure.
Get your articles prepped and all that, and I'll say the same to you, Clobbering Times, and also I will as well, because I don't just like Doctor Who. There are other franchises out there that I am interested in, and other stuff that we have been talking about. So every Thursday now we're going to have this is going to be the panel. So we'll just call it the TARDIS Zone chat. So that's what we do.
So we've got Charlotte Shields. Charlotte Shields in the chat says, no, it looked cheap as hell.
I didn't see this. What are we talking about here?
A new Dalek animation that the BBC released on YouTube.
I'll tell you what, you haven't seen it yet. I'm going to send you an invite, right? But don't come on until the stream is over, because we're going to finish up now in a few minutes. But I just wanted to briefly ask you all. I'm not going to go another 20 minutes on this Doctor Who news, because there's no point. But I just wanted to ask is how you all feeling now, a day later, after hearing the Series 13 has obviously began filming. Is there anybody, I want to ask you on the panel as well, any of you guys actually excited?
I'm excited we're one step closer to this being over with. That's the only reason why I wanted this to get running, so it can be over as quickly as possible.
Well, that's very much. Ninja, you're not really a Doctor Who fan as such, are you? So you don't.
Not as big as you guys, but I do understand the cultural significance of it, and especially as well too. You know, the movement that is happening right now with the BBC to tell them this isn't cool. And I fully support and endorse that 100%.
Lovely. Clobbering Times. Any excitement yet? No.
No. I understand what Lee was saying about how these one step closer to getting over with, but it's pretty much the show's dead to me. It's been dead for a good long time.
It hasn't trended like in previous years.
But it's funny because the last month when they insisted it had started filming, it was trending. But now, funnily enough, now that it is, nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, they're staying silent because they don't want to expose themselves as the little liars that they are.
Yeah, they don't want to remember that. You know, it's so funny that they accuse you of being this liar wrong. Yet they were and spreading fake news, and yet they were the ones spreading fake news last month.
Yeah,
just last month that Doctor Who started filming then. And they went on with it, and they were absolutely adamant it had started, and they were like, yeah. And they were wrong. Now you've been proven right. They want to call you a liar and accuse you of spreading fake news after they did that just a month ago. What hypocrisy!
Oh, hold on. Emma's saying it did trend yesterday.
For 5 minutes, maybe.
Emma,
I didn't notice
because we want it to be over. I know you're interested because you are a Whittaker fan. But if you do come across anything from Whittaker or any of the cast members, let us know, will you? Because we're not really paying attention because we don't really care. But I know there will be people that'll be interested in what they have to say. So if you do come across any stuff, interviews with Whittaker or Manip or whoever it is, part of the cast talking about the latest series, let us know and we'll cover it on the channel. Well, listen, we have covered a lot of stuff. Johnny Depp, the comic book industry. and we've done a little bit of Doctor Who now. So what I'll do is tomorrow we'll obviously continue this conversation. If people want to come on tomorrow to talk Doctor Who or any of the stuff that has featured on this panel tonight.
Well, tomorrow's the Children in Need, so probably the trailer will drop tomorrow as well.
So we'll probably have something to talk about. So I will have Children in Need on in the background like I did last year. So if anything significant happens, we will let you know. If we do get a trailer, you can play trailers on your channel. So if we do get a trailer tomorrow, I will throw it up and we'll see.
I'll be throwing up as well.
Well, we'll see if we get. Well, we'll see if he can manage to excite us. You know, we'll see. He's giving us nothing, so it'll be interesting to see what's in this trailer. If there is, in fact, a trailer going to drop tomorrow, but according to some of the things that I have been reading, there does seem to be an indication that something related to the festive special is going to be shown. So we will just have to wait and see, to be honest. But listen, I'm going to let the lads do their shout outs. They're going to hang on, and then Daniel's going to join us then behind the scenes, and we're going to take a look at this rubbish, or take a look at it and see if it's actually rubbish. But apparently it's dire. So do you know what? Again, BBC, I just need to tell you, is you need to concentrate on making the show great. Nobody wants these little things that you're giving us. We're not interested.
There's no point, because they're not going to be watched by an audience that has dwindled to less than half of what it was.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see actually how many viewers it's actually got, how many likes and dislikes it's got. We will highlight that tomorrow. We have to watch it first before we can make any comment on it. That's why I haven't actually made many comments on it, because we don't know. So, right, going to leave it there. So what I'll do is, Ninja Knight, let everybody know where they can find you, mate. And if you have any up-and-coming videos that you want them to pay special attention to, let them know.
Yeah, you can find me at Ninja Knight. I'm at _Ninja Knight on Twitter. I have an Instagram profile as well too, Ninja Knight 44. I'm on Parler now as well too, at the Ninja Knight. I'm not quite sure of that one. I think that's then _Ninja Knight 44 as well on Parler. You will also notice as well too, my icon is a black background with red writing. There's another individual that decided to change their name to mine and try to gain some sort of support. But you will notice that guy mostly posts about games or something like that, live streams and stuff. Funnily enough, I will be doing that with Noel in future. Yeah. So that's what I will be doing. But I talk about everything and anything, talking about TV, movies, action figures, video games, and sports as well. And I have a couple of upcoming videos. I hope to drop one tonight and then more than tomorrow. So do keep an eye out there. And again, like I've said previously on the stream, and especially with today, Noel is a top man. He's a top lad. He's someone that I know now for, I think, just over a month. He is one of the nicest individuals on stream and off stream that I know. He's entirely passionate about this fandom, particularly the Doctor Who one. And I think ultimately when you look at an individual like that, that does give the voice to the fans and people that come onto his streams, it's absolutely mind-blowing. It shows the type of character he is, and also shows as well too that he's not afraid to stand and battle his corner, and he's very open to, you know, different opinions, and I think it's fantastic. And again, please share this channel, please subscribe to him, please support him, and keep that positivity in the comments that we've seen all night for Noel as well. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I have to second that. You have been absolutely fantastic in the chat. I know I got upset earlier on another stream. It's just kind of all got to me. To be honest, this has been constant 6 months now of non-stop harassment, and you know, okay, it all came to head today, but I'm glad I got it all off my chest. Now, we have noticed that there's certain YouTubers out there piping up again because they're looking for attention.
Don't give it to
those YouTubers is stick to your promises, mate. Stick to your promises, because you know
I mean, we got it live on air.
Bottom line is this: the fandom doesn't need your shit anymore. Yeah, that's the bottom line. Fandom doesn't need your shit anymore. You've been, in fairness, as far as I'm concerned, you've lost all credibility. Yeah.
No, can I just interject?
You're speaking into an echo chamber now because nobody listens to you. So.
No, let me interject here.
Yes.
We've got it on video, right? You know who you are. Disaster Area knows who you are, because Disaster Area was very key in all of this, actually. So I commend him for this. But I really hope that Disaster Area and people who have tried to stop all this nonsense will realize and see that it's a losing game with you, isn't it? Quite honestly, because we've got it on video on the stream, and we might even have to do an edit showing where you were absolutely pleading with Noel to stop this, even though we didn't start any of it, and we certainly didn't carry any of it on. You were concerted in your effort with this bone, like a dog with a bone. You came to us to end this, and we said, okay, we didn't start it, but sure, end it. We're more than happy, because we certainly didn't engage in half the stuff, not even a third, not even any of it, of the stuff that you accused us of. And I'll tell you something, it's on video. And now if you want to start this up again, and we've done nothing other than Noel putting out what he's been told to put out by his source, you don't have to like it, that's fine. But if you want to start all this stuff up again, everyone sees you for what you're doing, because you are starting this up again out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We've not engaged with you.
Exactly.
We kept to our promise. You wanted this to stop. We were more than happy for it to stop. We could have come after you in big time for all the shit that you said, libelous, slanderous things, but we didn't. And now you want to start this up again. Everyone sees that you're doing this. Don't make this bad for yourself, because I'm not telling people to come to your channel and to unsub you, or all these other things that you accused us of, after you made a video absolutely stating that it was YouTube mucking you about, not us. So have a little bit of integrity and a little bit of honesty and some honor in your life to actually admit when you're wrong, and just stop this now before you start another stupid hate campaign that's just going to make you look ridiculous.
Yeah, and we got a Digi story there, says the Clapper said the 2nd of November, so they were filming before last week. They weren't filming in October. Chris Chibnall has even come out himself in the production note and said they've only started filming.
And see, Noel was right, and we said that he was right, and we never called you a liar. We never said you were wrong. We just said this is not what we have been led to believe. And we always said to the people in the chat here, go and check out your channel, because he's got a different opinion. Noel was gracious like that. You were not gracious at all. Just bear that in mind. And you can look back through all the streams from that period, and you can see who's in the right and who's in the wrong here.
Exactly. Well said. Gary, plug your channel. Nate, plug your channel.
Me? Oh, yeah, Aldred, audio, visual. Go there, do that stuff. But really, most importantly, don't let these bullies keep going after Noel. If you see anything, smack them down, because this has got to stop. Look, you don't have to like it. Noel's always been very upfront that this is rumor and speculation. Sorry if you're too young or too stupid to understand that this is how fandom has always been.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you don't have that kind of source. You may claim that Noel doesn't. I can guarantee you he does. Whether or not things turn out to be as reported, look, as Noel said, it's rumor and speculation. We can't vouch for everything, but that's what he's been given. He's only reporting what he's been given.
Exactly.
Take it or leave it. You don't have to attack the man for simply reporting what he's been told.
Exactly. Well said, Lee. And we'll leave it at that. We don't need to add any more to that, to be quite honest. We've said our piece now.
It's childish. Just leave it out.
At the end of the day, I just wish that those people that did turn against me and Lee at that time actually see what's happening right now.
Absolutely.
We haven't started anything up. We've kept to our promises. We've ignored this person. But lately, they've done a couple of videos and they're clearly looking for attention. And they're not going to get it from me. So they're going to be screaming into a bit of an echo chamber there. So let them. But Clobbering Times, anybody you want to plug before you finish up?
Oh, well, I'm just, still getting started over here. Just having a great time meeting all of you wonderful people. I've made so many great new friends here. If any of you are into comics and other things, I do a lot of Star Trek and things like that as well. Plus, my good buddy Problem being here, and I have done some Blake 7 shows. We'll be doing those again soon, I hope. The the Clobby and Probby show, which we might call it that.
I like that.
No.
Chobby and Probby.
There you go. But I've done this past week. I've done the history of Star Trek comics, and of course, defending Star Trek Enterprise. And next week, I got a few things planned. Nothing set yet, but a lot of comics related live streams in my future. Plus, again, as I said, Star Trek Blake 7. And I should do more Doctor Who, but Noel handles that perfectly. So I love Doctor Who, but Noel's the man doing that. And Noel, I just want to say, I just have so much fun just doing the watch parties with you guys and being on here with you. And thank you so much. And just hanging out with so many great people in the chat, so many wonderful people there. I'm touched and proud to be here and honored to be here. And Mr. Ninja Knight, you and I got to get together and do some comments.
Absolutely, my friend. Man. Absolutely. I would be very much so up for that.
Indeed.
This is what we have, friendships, not alliances.
Exactly. And we support each other as well and always will. But tomorrow we have coming at 7. 8 o'clock, I think I start that, don't I, on Fridays. So we have this on Friday nights. And remember, this is your opportunity, you guys that do be in the chat, to come on and voice your concerns or to let us know what's on your mind about fandoms or whatever. By the way, I just want to, before I do the rest of the stuff that we're doing this weekend, I just want to say I've seen a couple of posts lately on Twitter talking about how the suicide rate in the UK is up by 200%. Now, I know in other countries the suicide rates have skyrocketed because of the situation that we're in. All I'll just say to people out there is, if you need to talk to anybody, myself, Problem Being, and others out there, if you need someone to talk to, we're here for you. Remember that. Because as a sufferer myself, I suffer with depression. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel really down. Trust me, it's a horrible thing, but it's always good when you know there are people out there willing to listen to you. So I just want you to all know that myself and others out there are willing. If you need to talk to anybody, you don't feel like you can talk to family, you can come to me and talk to me, and whatever you say, remember, it will be private, confidential. I've already actually had a couple of words with a couple of people that do support us, that have been feeling down. And I just want you to know that we're all here for you. So we're here together to support you, and we will never waver that support. We'll be there for you all the time. So if you need to talk, let us know. So Saturdays, we have, of course, this.
Nice.
We love, and I have to say, Lee, do you know why I do this at the end of these Thursday streams? Is because I like to highlight Lee's work as well, and it gives people the opportunity to actually see. So if you need a channel rebrand, he never actually says that. When I do say plug your channel, I also mean like let everybody know that you do rebrands of people's channels, and you do little videos like that. And he does them at reasonable prices, to be honest with you. So if you are looking for any work, check out Lee's channel.
All tailored to your budget, so whatever you want, I can still do it.
Exactly. And then every Sunday, this is my favorite. Every Sunday we have this.
Why not?
Wise words from Peter Capaldi there, by the way.
Long forgotten, seemingly.
Yeah. So that's what happens here this weekend. We'll have plenty. As I said, we will be touching on other stuff. When we bring Ninja Night on, we talk about other stuff as well. And this is what I'm going to be doing on this channel. We're not just going to be concentrating on Doctor Who. We're going to be doing other stuff like this. And, you know, we have the Mandalorian reviews every Wednesday as well. So, yeah, check it out. It's fun times on this channel anyway, when we're allowed to have fun, of course, you know. So I think that's it now, folks. I just want to say thank you to all the moderators for keeping the chat.
Great job. Great job.
And
Lee Anthony Davis there sent a super chat as well too. We did see that, so much appreciated for that one there too, Lee.
Yes.
Was there a super chat?
Yeah. No, he did. He just said he sent money and said thanks very much for everything you do on the channel for the channel.
It pop up on my screen. Sorry, mate. It normally pops up on the screen, so there it is. There, yeah. So a $4.99 super chat. This is towards your channel. Thank you, Lee, and don't forget to actually subscribe to Lee Anthony Davis's channel as well. He does have a channel, and I know the moderators have been throwing up all of the channels as we've been streaming. So thank you very much for the super chat, Lee. To all my moderators that keep the chat nice and safe for everybody, thank you, and everybody that takes part.
Charlotte says, "Have fun with the animation, lads."
We're got I'm sure
looking forward to it. Yeah.
I'm sure when we bring Daniel on, when we finish this stream, there's going to be a lot of effing and being going on. Because when the Scottish man, 2 Irish men, and an English man get together,
a gay Englishman, Jew, Irish, Italian, Welsh.
Yeah.
French, German.
And see that we're multicultural on this. Yeah, I get accused of being a racist.
And an ugly American, don't forget that.
Oh yeah, and an American. Yeah,
an ugly American. I love that.
We always need to call an American in the mix there. It's never the same without.
We're all Americans.
A yank.
Right, folks, we're gonna go. Thank you. Good night. I'll leave you with the main channel trailer. I'll see you all tomorrow. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you over the weekend, folks. Peace out.
Peace out.
Out, peace.
Stay safe and don't do what I wouldn't do.
I'll do it. Do it.